Hello Capricorn, it's Marina from the Butterfly Effect. This is going to be your reading for May 2020. It is a Celtic cross spread. It is a general reading. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It may be for you, it may not be. Energies can be completely switched. If I'm talking to you, it may be the person that you're thinking of listening to this reading. I am going to be reading in the main, I would say, for a masculine here, but you can switch that from the get-go, mainly because that's what I feel, but also in terms of how Capricorn is being viewed as the King of Pentacles in your own energy. Now, before I get into the reading, I had laid out both cards for your significator a couple of days ago, the Star in reverse and the Fool, and I had mental dreams last night, unbelievable, like 40 minutes recorded stuff, so many different stories. But one of them came through and it was Capricorn, but it was actually Capricorn. It was like Italian. Don't know if you get some sort of Italian or I'm reading for an Italian. It's very odd. But actually the part of the dream that I think pertains to these two specific cards, and it doesn't really tie in with the rest of the reading, but so I'm going to do this separately, was that someone who really doesn't know which path to take in their life, doesn't know what they're supposed to be doing with their life. They almost feel like a novice and almost quite vulnerable. They do have talents, but they don't know specifically which ones are actually going to be most effective. So it is feeling quite exposed in some ways, and yet they were put in a position where they were able to help someone. They recognized in someone who, you know, themselves like a decade earlier, and they were able to interject and offer advice that really did change this person's life and perspective when they did feel really incapable, and it made them realize that they actually did have something to offer. And then there were other aspects that came out that they had knowledge of that they could also offer. So it just felt a wee bit like a lack of confidence in your own abilities, your own talents at this time, and to know which ones to kind of nurture or focus on. So yeah, the focus is a little bit off, and that is just like a little bit of an extra. But the Star in reverse and the Fool, that dream aside, it would be that very much focusing on the fact that maybe a leap of faith wasn't taken in the past, and there's some sort of forgiveness here. So it feels like there was an opportunity for something with the Star here. This is like wish fulfillment. It is the North Star, it's guidance, it's hope, and it almost feels like someone has maybe treated this with impartiality, which is what's clarifying it. Like it maybe wasn't that important, and now it's like way after the fact it actually was really important, and maybe was what they should have done, and maybe requiring some forgiveness for that. It's one way of looking at it. I just get a feeling there's a little bit of ambivalence here. I think whatever it is you're dealing with, or the person you're dealing with, Capricorn, it almost feels like it's actually easier not to deal with it, and yet not dealing with it is not making it go away, because in your hopes, you're hoping something will come back around again with the Six of Swords in reverse here and recovery. So yeah, but you're still very much here. You're not really sure what direction to take. You may have one or more options, but there's like there's no one that's like standing out for you, and yet I think you might be avoiding the most obvious one because it's the most difficult one. But you may have to forgive yourself for something that you haven't you know, taken action on or moved towards. And that's where you are right now. So let's have a look at your main card for the month, the Three Fates, what comes around. So there's old sort of karmic lessons here that have yet to be learned. So that's why I sort of feel this thing isn't going away regardless as to how much you're trying to ignore it. So you may have been enjoying your own life's reruns recently, wallowing through the memories and feeling sad, bittersweet and nostalgic about the good old days whenever they were. You know what, is fine to muse on the past. Your memories are precious and they do need to be tended, but it's another thing altogether to be filled with regret, wishing we'd done things differently. Life is a constant do-over. You get a fresh chance every second you are alive. So stop beating yourself up. You have an opportunity to heal, to clear, to no longer feel sad about the same thing anymore. You can do things differently, and you're not a prisoner of how they have always been done. What you have done, even if you judge it to be a mistake, can be reworked and learned from, and that is wisdom. You are so not alone. We all have karmic lessons, themes, stories that seem to repeat. Learn from this. Be aware of what is taking place at a fateful encounter to master life. If you take this approach, you will be all the richer for learning, wise, free, and able to help others too. Yeah, there is a sort of feeling here that there's an experience, or maybe a number of, that actually you maybe don't think is important sharing, but in actual fact it is, because there are people who are about to experience something similar, and you may be able to guide them. So that's just something to think about, Capricorn. More of my sort of a career and life path feeling. So this is your energy, and it can be flipped. I'm reading this as a masculine, but it doesn't have to be, and to be honest, there's no real draw either way. I've got the dolphin spirit in reverse, the parrot spirit, watch your words, and she of the cruach. So this is a very judgy energy, basically. This is wanting to be acknowledged as being right in a situation and seeing others as wrong. You really want to see everything black and white. You want it super simple. That's a yes, that's a no, that's black, that's white, they're good, they're bad. That's what you want. And yet it's not that simple, and you're definitely, there's a real risk that you're losing something here or missing something. Okay, anything that's ever said in a reading is not a mistake. So this is like the story of your suffering, your righteousness. It's more complicated than you're letting on, and that you're prepared to acknowledge. It may be that you're not prepared to acknowledge it because it's overwhelming, you can't seem to fix it, but there is a real sense of rigidity here, and very much focusing more on what is wrong than what is right in a situation. So you are being told to watch your words. You know, it's like you think you know the score, you think you know something, and you're ready to sort of fire on in there with your judgment, with your opinion, and it could very well be wrong. You may indeed be judging a feminine energy here with she of the cruach in reverse. It can be that this is a refusal to receive love, receive nurturing, receive information. Yeah, there is a feeling of being very blocked here, being non-receptive to anything that's out with what you have determined to be the truth, because the dolphin spirit is this and that are true, and it's trying to balance the two of them. The story you tell yourself, and maybe even the actual story, but everyone's reality is different. But there is a warning here, Capricorn, that you have made up your mind on something, and it's probably going to be off. And do not fire on in there. Watch your words, watch what you say, watch any sort of prejudices you feel coming up, and check them. Your external energy is very interesting. I've got the dove spirit, be peace, the fox spirit, think on your feet, and the dark lady. Really what I got from this is the eyes. This is a very intense person. Very intense. I mean, I really got like sucked into this. So this is like so yeah, obviously very peaceful, very compassionate, but someone who can flip, not to the dark side. the dark lady isn't of the dark side. She is very magical, she's mysterious, she's secretive, you know, she has a lot of knowledge. She can be like the person that takes you through the dark night of the soul, but she's also the person that leads you out of it. So she reveals that which we don't necessarily want to acknowledge about ourselves. So yeah, super intense. This is someone that would see you coming if you're wearing any sort of mask or you're disingenuous, this one is going to see you coming, because of very quick thinking with the fox here. Very extreme energy, all very love and light. And yet, if there's any sort of deception or yeah, attempt to deceive, it almost like they can flip really quickly into this. And this can be quite dark, but mainly secretive and mysterious. Very swift. Somebody really does think out the box, but somebody has an incredibly intense energy, and I actually think that's what you're afraid of, Capricorn. Either that they see you clearly, that's or you feel that they are judging you, or you've made a judgment on them. This is there's a feeling of, I feel, maybe caution here as to how you approach one another, because this one would very much match your intensity. And if you come in with the parrot spirit, all squawky and, you know, speaking your truth, your opinions, this one's going to match it, and it's probably not going to go well. In fact, that's what may have even happened in the past. And with the three fates, and you know, this is about doing things differently. This is about recognizing a pattern, because in your hopes, as I say, you have the Six of Swords with recovery. You're hoping that something comes back around again. You're hoping a situation can be recovered. You have to handle it completely differently to what even may be your, you know, natural way. Because I think this is someone you've dealt with before, because in you're fearing their judgment, you're fearing, you know, that there's some sort of finality here. So in your blockage position, your obstacle is the Lovers in gratitude. It's like you're not grateful for this experience. The Lovers is about making a decision, but it's also about, you know, partnership. And there is a feeling of, you know, not being grateful for what you have. There's a nod to that in your immediate future as well. Maybe not being, you know, grateful for any love in your life. I don't know why. Let me just have a wee extra on that. Why is the Lovers the obstacle? You just feel something's not fair. It's not gone your way. It's not been balanced. It's not been just. I mean, obviously, it could be a Libra, it could be a Gemini, but crikey, it's Emperor as well. So you could have issues with the father. You could have issues controlling situations, being overly dominant. This is the obstacles that you have to be looking at this month. But it's trying to find the positives in the obstacles that you have, and by overcoming them, you might be able to move on. Because there is, which isn't unusual, sort of a polarity in what you're thinking about and what your subconscious is focusing on. So in your subconscious, that which you don't know or that which you're not prepared to acknowledge is the Two of Wands and Destiny in reverse here. So again, I just get a feeling that, I mean, this may have felt like a destined relationship to you. We've got the Star in reverse as well. But it sort of can feel that you're just not up for doing this again. It is really just like too hard. Because this destiny card is about a couple that come together lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and they keep messing it up. It's a soul contract, and this, in your subconscious, you're thinking that you want to walk away from this. This is Jason leaving the cave, and it's the Hierophant with the contract. So I just feel that it's like, no more. We can't keep doing the same thing again. Now, oh gosh, I'm being drawn back to lyrics. Oh crikey, did I throw it away? I went and got another book. Hang on. I've done this before. I've done this before. That's what I got. And you think I'm bluffing. So this is you being bossed up and saying no more, walking away from this. But then it switches when you come on to your imminent future of just let me adore you. You don't have to say anything. I just want to tell you something. You want to have a conversation. I think, Capricorn, it feels easier for you to walk away from this, and yet it is bringing some sadness with it, and at the same time you're hoping it comes back around again. So yeah, what can I say? There's karma that needs to be attached to you. You can't escape your karma. You can't avoid it. It has to be addressed. Regardless as to the outcome, it has to be addressed. So in your subconscious, I say, you are trying to make a decision, albeit a slightly reluctant one, to move away from this, to say no more reruns. We can't keep doing this. And in your headspace, what you're thinking about is the Ace of Pentacles. This isn't necessarily attached to this relationship. This can be very much focused on your money, focused on getting like something new off the ground, a new business, coming back to that dream where, you know, trying to work out where your skills are best deployed and how your life path should be unfolding. And yet we have despondence here because it's like something's not happening yet, but that's where your mind is at. It's not predictive, it's just where your mind is at. Something's not coming in quickly enough or getting off the ground the way you would like it. And the Ace of Pentacles can also, it is obviously about money. It can be an inheritance, it can be a new house, a new job. So there's something, I sort of feel that that is more on the work front. You're very much focused on that in your mental headspace, day in, day out. In your subconscious, you've still got this relationship that's, you know, running a little loop there. In your past, you had strength in reverse and self-worth. So this is a lack of courage. And I think this is coming back to forgiveness with the Fool in reverse. There's an opportunity that you had that was presented to you that you haven't taken. It might be this relationship, it might be something completely different. There was something that was incredibly positive and you didn't take it. You almost were a little bit laissez-faire about it. And it is to do with your own self-worth. You maybe didn't, you know, might have had a bit of imposter syndrome, just didn't feel worthy, didn't feel strong enough. It might be physically, it might be mentally, emotionally, but that is in your past and that is what is leaving your life. Now, what is coming in immediate future? The Ace of Cups with gossip. Now, the Ace of Cups is obviously, you know, a new relationship, usually something very new on the feeling front, is an outpouring of emotion. The Ace of Cups in this deck, this is my Mythic Tarot, this is Aphrodite rising from the foam. The foam that was her, Uranus is her father, so Cronus castrated her father and threw his genitals into the ocean and they floated in the top and she was born. Fun story. So yeah, let's have a little look at Aphrodite. And the reason I'm sort of drawn to Aphrodite is the fact that she does have, again, there's a polarity in her nature, which is sort of coming back to this dark lady and the dove, you know, the real all love and light and all dark and vindictiveness, might be, because Aphrodite, as I say, she can be known for that as well. So she is obviously considered the essence of feminine beauty. You know, she's pure charm, she's harmony, but she could also be very jealous, very spiteful, deceitful, even coming back to the fox. The fox has deceit attached to him, so she can spread you know, life-giving joy, the love and light of the peace dove here. And yet and people were also sort of fearful of her divinity. You know, she could fill like human hearts with the frenzy of passion and you know, magical love. She also presided over the sanctity of marriage. She protected legitimate unions. But if you were one of her victims, then you could be driven to, you know, madness, to betray your own father, abandon your homes, be overcome with you know, bestiality and all sorts. So I keep coming back to this. You know, this person is capable of incredible peace, compassion, love, and yet there is very much another side to them. And the other side is probably is kicked in due to some sort of deceit, either on their part or on your part. Real hot and cold, and that's what I'm getting here. So this is what's coming in. This Ace of Cups doesn't need to be this person, but yeah, there's something brand new. There is an offering here, Capricorn, of something new on the love front, and it's come up with gossip. It can be that there's just talk about a new relationship, talk that, you know, you are in love with someone or someone's in love with you. But I'm thinking of the gossip card because it does tie into a lot of prejudice and misunderstanding again, which is how your energy is coming through with the dolphin spirit in reverse and the parrot here. Because this is Charmaine Chartreuse, I think her name was. She was very much she's an artist basically. Charmaine walked to the beat of her own drum. She completely did her own thing. She didn't go out and buddy with anyone, and she was very much mistrusted and judged as a bit of a weirdo because of that. And it was only after her death the villagers realised that she had done loads of beautiful loving paintings of people in the village and the village itself, and she'd sold them and she'd given them to charity, and they were all for the community. Incredibly loving individual. And there's a slight warning here, Capricorn, that you're going to misjudge this person and you're going to lose a valuable friendship because of it, because you're not appreciating what this person has to offer, or what it is indeed you're being offered in this love, because it may not be exactly how you've imagined it to be. And all the aces are, you know, gifts from the universe. You've got an Ace of Pentacles up here in your head, but what is actually coming in is an Ace of Cups. So you may be very focused on your money, and what is actually being offered is love. Isn't that just typical? And it will go the other way around. You're very much focused on love. It's all about the money. So there is something here coming in, and you need to be careful about your prejudices and your judgment of this person. If it is someone new, because this is something you may very well have done in the past, but I did sort of see a tie in there. In terms of how you're being viewed is the King of Pentacles with abundance in reverse. So initially I was like, oh brilliant, you're in your own energy, you're the King of Pentacles, you're literally, you know, Midas himself, everything you touch turns to gold. So you're seen as being pretty stable, and you're seen as someone who's very much focused on money and business and earning, and yet we have abundance in reverse here. So you could be sort of tipping into miserly, because I do have the Four of Pentacles in your income outcome, sorry. So it may be that you're worried about your income, you're trying to save, you're just trying to really focus and get the bloody money right, and yet there's something here where there's a feeling of lack, and it may be on the money front. It does seem to be that, but that can sort of bleed into other areas of your life as well. So you've been viewed as someone who is very stable, very capable, and yet there's something quite lacking, possibly in the money front. I mean, you might be out of work, you might be looking for work, or you might just have lack mentality and have bloody plenty. I've already covered over your hopes. You're hoping for some sort of recovery to, you know, come back around, if, you know, whatever that may be. Your fears are interesting, and I think your fears tie into your external dark lady energy here, because I've got the Empress mysticism in reverse. I'll take that out for now because that was a separate question. It's almost like you're fearing the woman fearing the Empress because of this. Do you know what I think? It's almost that you can't box this person into a certain profile. And that's just maybe too confusing for you. because in your block position, the Emperor here, this is somebody who really wants to control a situation, control people, control an empire, oversee everything and make all the decisions. And this one is someone that is going to be unpredictable, and that's something that you're needing to address here. And I think that's your fear. So yes, the Empress, you might be fearing abundance, so you know, you might have some lack mentality coming back to how you're viewed. You might not feel worthy enough. If this is financial related, the Empress often can be. I do see it as like a fair. I've got the She, the Cruach in reverse, and I've got the Empress. So I actually think you're fearing this person's mysticism. It is in reverse, so you might think they're like you know, a witch or like a dark mystic. But having it in reverse is actually pretty positive. It can be. There is a bit of fear here. There's no two ways about it. It's literally in your fears. Aubergine upright is about hiding in the shadows. She waits until she knows before she makes any sort of move. So she can be a bit of a spy, but she does watch and makes no moves whatsoever until she knows. So it would suggest a sort of knowing here about this individual, and maybe being prepared to move out of the shadows and approach this Empress, and yet we're fearful. And I think what we're fearful of, other than what I've already covered, is what's gone down in the past here. Because I specifically said, well, why are you afraid of the Empress? And it's the Judgment. So you're afraid that they've made a final decision on your relationship, that and there's a summing up here. So you're hoping something comes back around and recovers, and yet you're almost afraid that it might come back round and recover. But you're also fearing that this Empress has called time on something, and it may be because you haven't made moves in the past. So I specifically asked, well, what's the judgment that the Empress, that you're fearful? And I've got the Six of Cups, Seven of Swords, and the Knight of Swords. So there's something gone down in the past here with the Six of Cups. I mean, you could be soulmates, but to me, this is just, there's been deception in the past. You may have left this person in the past. You may have done it quickly. You may have done it harshly. Or you may have cheated them, but you've done something in the past, and you're now afraid that they've called time on it because of that, and yet you're still hoping it comes around. I'm coming back to this again, Capricorn. What comes round the Three Fates? There's karma that needs to be burnt off here. It cannot be ignored. It's going to have to be addressed. You can focus all you like elsewhere, but this is what's floating around your subconscious. This is literally your paradigm, and everything that's in there is how you function in the world, regardless as to what your, you know, conscious reality is trying to focus on. This is what is here. A decision needs to be made. This needs to be addressed one way or another to allow you some sort of freedom to move on, because it's making you sad. You're holding on to grief. I mean, I don't know if it's even something you can fix, but you're holding on to grief here. This is not being able to let go of something. This can be quite selfish energy, holding on to your pentacles, not sharing any information, not opening up. But it's making you sad. It's like we're really, really repressed here, and not being able to let go of something that's probably already passed. So I've asked where the grief is coming from, and it's the Ten of Swords. So there may have been a betrayal here, or it may just be a very painful ending that we're still not moved on from. And at the base of the deck, I have faith in reverse. So we're losing faith in the situation. We're confused with the Seven of Cups. And again, we sort of feel something's not fair with here, the Fiery Sword in reverse. So I've now got the masculine principle in reverse and the feminine principle in reverse. The bodacious Bodak, self-sabotage and disunion, a broken relationship. So you may have sabotaged this. Again, I sort of feel it comes back to the fact you've not taken the action you were supposed to. But Capricorn, there is an opportunity here for something new, either with this person or with someone new. So you need to work on your mindset. You need to try and learn from the past so that you don't continue to make the same mistake. So let's take a little advice card for Capricorn. Please like, subscribe and comment if you would. Thank you very much. Hope you have a super month. Capricorn, May 2020. What advice, please, Spirit, do you have for this reading for Capricorn? Connect with your emotions. Yeah, I really do feel you're suppressing, you're stuffing this right down. Look at this. I mean, seriously, this is like the most painful card ever, this grief card. Holding on to our wee dog's dead body. You're stuffing it down and it will make you ill. What am I looking for? Angels and ancestors. The water guardian. I just got always and forever. Can't think who sings it. Yeah, I mean you're suppressing feelings here, Capricorn. And if for your own physical health, deal with it. Water guardian. Your angels want you to know that it's okay to feel the emotions that are surfacing in you at this time. It doesn't matter if they are joyous or sad. They are all powerful messengers that allow you to understand what you want and need. Taking time to breathe and acknowledge them lets them flow through you rather than crashing down on you as an overwhelming wave. Note that there are also intuitive psychic messages arising in you at this time, and unless you acknowledge everything as it comes up, you may miss important guidance that can lead you to support and love. So take time to understand how you really feel. Know that your sensitivity is not a curse, but a gift that allows you to receive and understand messages directly from your soul. That is your reading, Capricorn. I wish you all the best. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.